Hello everyone and welcome to my weekly video. Today we'll be going through some games that are set to release sometime soon, or at the very least we'll hopefully get a trailer for during the summer. As always, there are a lot of projects going on and I wanted to share what I think are the ones everyone is looking forward to, as well as games I'll be keeping a close eye on. I'm also excluding the Star Wars games because there are so many of them and all of them are being worked on like all at once. I don't really want to talk about them at this time. With that said, let's start with the obvious one. God of War Ragnarok is set to release this year. This game takes place after the previous game, just titled God of War, and follows the events of that game. The God of War game, released in 2018, had a lot of foreshadowing, telling about the events that may or may not happen in the near future. In its sequel, Ragnarok, we'll be exploring a frozen over Midgard and most likely other realms, and we'll see how many of these foreshadowed events take place, and what the true story is behind them. As the last game left off, the god Thor is now on the hunt for Kratos. And that really is all the info we have at this time about the plot. We did get a reveal trailer not too long ago to show some gameplay, but outside of that there has not been a whole lot of detail. The combat gameplay is being evolved and refined, and hopefully does give players more freedom than the previous game did. I personally did have some issues with the combat of my own, but I do blame that more on my skill than on the game itself, but I'm glad to see that they are trying to do something to expand that combat. We should be hearing more news about this game during the year and hopefully during the summer. Moving on, Bayonetta 3 is set to release this year for the Nintendo Switch. The previous game was released back in 2014, so whatever Nintendo and Platinum Games has in store, they've had plenty of time to come up with it. They are making a big deal about the new combat system and keeping the storyline and plot a mystery. There's not much else to discuss right now about this game, but we won't have to wait for too long to get more info. Bethesda's Starfield game has been in development for 6 years. This will be an Xbox exclusive title that is a space-based action RPG. This may end up being Bethesda's most polished game in probably the entire existence of the company. The game is planned to release in November of this year, and hopefully there are no delays and the game lives up to its hype. Bethesda has done a great job keeping the game well under wraps, but they can't keep hiding for much longer. Keep an eye out as we'll be seeing some actual gameplay sometime soon. I'm going to list out some honorable mentions as I don't really have much to say about them. Splatoon 3, Hello Neighbor 2, and Breath of the Wild 2 are all planning to be released during this year. I'm really hoping Splatoon 3 has something big they're hiding because right now, from what I've seen, it just looks like an expanded DLC. I'm not too attached to the Splatoon games, so if there's anything you're excited for about this game, please let me know. Hello Neighbor 2 is going to be weird, I think we all know that. The original game went through many patches and changes for a while. It was a unique experience seeing how it was pieced together during its life cycle, and I feel that was a big part of the game's charm. We'll have to see if they take that same approach with the sequel, or if it will be set in stone from launch. We've been waiting for a while for Breath of the Wild 2 to come out, or really to get any kind of info of the game itself. As the title gives away, this would most likely be directly after the events of the previous game. We did get some minor glimpses of gameplay, but nothing really to show what the heck is going on. Gotham Knight is planned to be released this year as well. The premise is that Batman is dead, and now it's up to the rest of the Bat family to pick up the slack and fight against whatever this next threat may be. It is a strange decision to not have Batman in a Batman-like game, but we'll have to see what kind of twists and turns the game has to offer, and if the game itself can't stand without Batman. Perhaps Batman isn't dead after all. I don't think they'll be willing to say that for certain in any of the trailers, and we'll have to find out for ourselves. Ghostbusters is the franchise that keeps on going. As a new game, Spirits Unleashed is planned to be released this year. This is a 4-player co-op game of fighting and capturing ghosts. I personally do like the art style of the game, as it feels like the proper art style to use for a Ghostbusters title. There is also a Ghostbusters VR game coming out as well, so if you're a fan of busting ghosts, you'll have a couple of options to choose from. And just because this next title lets me talk about a certain development team, Alan Wake 2 is being worked on by Remedy Entertainment. Currently, there is no release date, but we should be seeing more of this game before the end of this year. Remedy, also being the developers behind Max Payne 1 and 2, is being hired again by Rockstar Games to remake those very two games. And as much as I can't wait for that to happen, I know we won't be seeing anything about that project anytime soon. Moving on with this list, Overwatch 2 is around the corner, but not planned to be released this year. There is already some gameplay coming out and some betas being planned, so we can already get a feel for how the game will play well before its release. There are going to be some balance changes, and who knows what the game will actually look like when it comes to release. And finally, of course I do have to mention it, Modern Warfare 2 is coming out this year. I haven't really talked a whole lot about this game because a lot of it is rumors, but hey, might as well go through what we know so far. This may end up being the last of the yearly releases for Call of Duty, in regards to a full-price brand new game. The game's story, as we know about it so far, is about taking on the cartels in South America. This may seem like a far cry from the constant nuclear threats we see in just about every Call of Duty campaign, but I personally do like these smaller stories. Even the last one was just about chemical warfare, but that is still a very big threat. We'll just have to see how serious this threat will be. There is also another mode we've been getting rumors for a while about, which is a DMZ mode. This mode will be a Call of Duty take on Escape from Tarkov and other similar survival scouting games like Hunt Showdown or the failed Hazard Zone from Battlefield 2042. The premise of this type of mode is to get in, capture an objective, and get out. Usually whatever items you bring in can be lost if you die, so there is more risk to it than the typical Battle Royale experience. Although this is a really neat idea, I do hope there's some part of it that is co-op only, even if it means the rewards are slashed in half, because nothing is more annoying than losing a lot of gear to hackers. With Call of Duty being the largest shooter in the market, I can guarantee you that this mode will have a lot more accusations than ever before. So unless this game is coming out with a really beefy anti-cheat, we'll just have to see how bad it can get. The gameplay itself can be great, but if your experience is constantly ruined by an ever-revolving door of cheaters, it's going to keep people away. In terms of gameplay from rumors, it all seems to reflect similar to the previous Modern Warfare 2019 title, with some notable changes. The game may substitute the sliding mechanic for a dolphin dive, so no more slick slides to break people's ankles. The movement will be sped up a little more than before, and from what I know, no real news about how quick the kills will be in the game. I did see something about there being a change to sprint to fire times. Basically, if true, actual run and gun gameplay may be making its way back to Call of Duty, as then you may not have to stop or slow down as much as before to bring up your weapon. We'll just have to see how true that is. We're expecting a lot more info really soon, and as soon as April 30th, but the main release info is scheduled so far for mid to late May. There's already rumors floating about that something will be released next year that is Call of Duty and is built by Treyarch, most likely, but will not be the typical full-fledged game. Perhaps this may be a zombies game or finally a free-to-play version of zombies. We don't know, it's too early to tell, but we will find out eventually. I know there's a lot more news coming out, but I think we're going to end the rant here. So thank you all very much for getting this far in the video, and let me know what games you're looking forward to the most, and if I missed anything about the games I covered on this list. So until then, I am Mr. Rain, and I'll see you next time.